An introduction to One School for All. My name is Andrew Thomas, and I will be your teacher this semester in this One School for All module as part of the Nordic Citizenship Education course for my wonderful new international students that I look forward to meeting. So I would like you to watch this before we meet for our first time on the 20th of August 2025. So this is just an introductory lecture, and I'll be doing a new lecture every week, which I will need you to watch before we meet. And so you need to watch this in order to make sense of the lessons, in order to be prepared for what we're going to do in the lesson. So a lot of what we're going to do in this module is to learn thinking skills. It's not about just remembering things, but I want you to be able to see things in a different way. And every individual lesson is meant to give you some kind of tool. So, for example, the leprosy and plague model lecture. It's not about history, medieval history about leprosy. There will be some of that, but it's about seeing things that happen today and seeing them, and particularly methods of people management. Or pupil management, seeing them in connection with the way we've managed people groups, have managed our species in the past. Similarly, formative assessment. We can talk about formative assessment as something that teachers have to learn to do, but it's also a way of looking at, for example, pupil performances as something other than just a way of ranking pupils from best to worst, and more about information about your class that you can use as a teacher. Or the social definition of disability, for example. Yes, it's a fact about the way people sometimes think about or don't think about disability, but I want you to learn to kind of rearrange your mental furniture. I want you to learn to think differently about the world, and that is why we'll be talking about the social definition of disability later on in the semester. So all these things are thinking skills, not social skills, or something I need to be doing myself, learning to do myself. Anyway, we'll be learning about thinking skills, but we'll also be talking about content. But that's maybe more in the context of what content is going on in school. There are things that happen in school that we may want to take out, just like you had to take out or put in various things when you packed on your way to come to Norway. You might accept the thing that what goes on in school today, but you might want to change it. You might want to put in new things that weren't there before, and you might want to take out some other things that were there before. So children in school learn about content. They learn thinking skills, but they also learn about content. And we'll be talking through what we think children should learn and what they shouldn't learn. How important is self-insight, for example, or knowledge about political skills, political systems? How important is rhetoric? And for what kind of pupil are these things important? And that's going to be part of our discussion. But I teach this module in the way I do, with both skills and content, because I think both of these things are important, both in the school system and for us at universities, and for us learning to be teachers. So there will be teaching skills. First and foremost, I want you to learn skills, how to think differently. But there will also be some content. And because I'll focus so much on skills in the rest of the semester, let's have a few things about content, about the Norwegian school system, not because I think it's the best school system, but because we'll be using it as a case for the rest of the semester. So let's establish some facts about the Norwegian school system, shall we? So first, there are basically no special schools in Norway. On paper, at least, all special needs schools were closed in 1992, with some exceptions. Secondly, again, with some exceptions, but by and large, there are no marks, no grading before the 8th grade, before the 8th year, which is to say when children are about 13 or 14 in Norway. Until that time, they've never seen an A or a B or a C. No detention. That might be familiar to you from your home school, but some people are surprised at how little discipline there is in Norwegian schools. And in fact, until August of this year, 2025, teachers were not allowed to intervene physically when pupils were disturbing the class. They had to just use their words. And still, we must not intervene physically unless it's absolutely necessary, and even then only minimally. Teachers in Norway who are taking their education now basically have to have an MA. There are lots of exceptions to this, actually, but by and large, teachers have to have a master's degree in order to teach in the Norwegian school. One of the very significant exceptions is special needs education. Special needs education pupils do not have a right to a teacher with a master's degree in the same way that other pupils have. Religious studies, which is my basic subject when I'm a teacher, is compulsory in Norway for at least the 10 years of basic schooling. But civic education, how to be a citizen, is no individual subject. It's actually integrated into everything else that we do. But pupil democracy, not how they're going to be an adult citizen, but how they take part democratically in school, is legally binding. Every school has to have a system for pupil democracy in Norway, and every school's governance has to have pupil democracy representatives in their organs, in their decisions. They have to listen to children. So children have to be politically active in Norway when they are pupils in school, in some way. So those are a few facts about Norwegian schools, and I want you to think through those facts. They are largely based on the Education Act, and I'm going to put a link to that in Canvas. So think through those facts and maybe compare them with your home system, and we'll have a talk about these and a bunch of other things this week and for the rest of the semester in One School for All. I can't wait to get going.